Hello. Welcome to the Lume Plotters.
Hello, everyone.
How are you, Martin?
I'm doing fine, and how are you?
I'm doing well.
So, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about, what was it? Straps, right? Our topic today.
Straps.
Straps.
This is a requested topic by one of our listeners, actually. My brother, who also composed our very nice intro music.
Yeah.
He asked us, can we do an episode on straps? So I think it's a very good topic.
Yep, I agree.
So anything related to straps, let's discuss, how, why, where, what the whole point of straps are. Why do we watch people like to put new straps on watches?
Yeah.
Where do we get them?
Exactly.
How do we fit them? How do we select watches for straps? And how do we select, how do we say we don't want to put straps on certain watches? Yeah. So let's start with this. What are you wearing on yours?
Yeah, exactly.
Before
we start with that, yes. So I am wearing at the moment a G-Shock, one of the Casioks, but in the latest iteration, this one here. I'm showing it to you, but of course listeners can't see it.
The Bluetooth one.
Exactly. It's the black G-Shock GAB 2100-1ADR, which is of course a mouthful, but it's basically the Casiok black on black with blue writing for the Bluetooth and a red hand for the power reserve. The old ones had a little indicator on the 9 o'clock side with the I think it was a day of week, but now that the Bluetooth ones have an indicator of how much they are charged and some other information. I think, if I'm not mistaken. See, I can't even see it properly without my glasses. See.
Fun fact.
Anyhow, so this watch is cool. It has now solar charging, which is my biggest complaint I had about this watch before, that it needed a battery every 2 to 3 years, and I don't like watches that need batteries. I love solar charging. I think it's one of the best things for digital watches ever. Yeah. And
did you know that the solar batteries in there are just batteries, right? You are aware of this.
Yeah, but they last at least 10, 15 years.
Exactly. And then they're the exact same size as the regular batteries, the coin batteries that would be in a regular G-Shock. So you can take them out and replace them just as easily as you would in a regular G-Shock, which is super cool. They're very easily serviceable.
Yeah, exactly. And it has Bluetooth. That means I don't even need to set this watch, even if I travel. Just because you always travel with your phone, right? You go somewhere, you change your time zone on the phone, the watch automatically picks this up immediately and sets itself to the time that comes from your iPhone, and the iPhone takes a couple of days, syncs itself to an atomic clock automatically as well. So there you go. So I love that watch because it's finally, I think, the G-Shock it should have always been, or the Casiok, right? Because it looks a bit like the octagonal shape. That's why it's called the Casiok, because it has a bit of a Royal Oak vibe to it. I love it. It's super comfortable.
Now, one thing that I want to mention about G-Shocks in general, you mentioned at the end of the years that there's 1DR. Do you know what that means?
No idea.
Story time. There are 3 or 4 varieties of G-Shocks.
Okay.
1DR, or just DR, JF, CR, and ER. These are the 4 varieties you can have at the end. So you can have the same exact watch with these differing end letters.
Yeah. I've seen it before, but I didn't know what it means.
The location that the G-Shock was originally intended for sale. So, JF is the Japan release, meaning you're going to get a different box. They generally have little cartons that they come in. And of course, all of the writing and tagging is only in Japanese. Then we have DR. They call that distant release, or so people are guessing this was what this means. It means it is countries that are fairly distant
to the
rest of the world. CR is continental release. That's for the US, North America, and Canada.
Okay.
So if you see an American
continental
model,
breakfast.
CR.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly. And then you have ER, which is, of course, the European release.
So
the watch itself is exactly the same. It's the packaging
Right.
will be different. The paperwork and packaging. So, fun story.
Cool.
Now,
I mean, you've never stop learning, especially with these topics like Casio and G-Shocks. There's always something new, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Good. So, and I'm also wearing something Japanese on my wrist. Okay. I have currently my, here you go. You can see it here. This is the Grand Seiko SPG W231, which is a 3-hander, very simple, very small, 37 millimeter, no date. I wouldn't call it a dress watch. I would call it a Datejust equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
Datejust, of course, isn't even a dress watch, right? It's kind of this sporty dress watch. It has the same vibe because it's a little bit thicker than one of your pure dress watches. So it's a good everyday watch. Wears very well on my wrist. As you know, I like smaller watches. And it's just a stunning. I cannot take my eyes off of it because I haven't worn it in quite some time. So I put it on specifically for this podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm just like staring at it. And I forget how much how I'm enamored by how it depends. It doesn't matter what kind of a lighting situation you're in. The indices being high polish, mirror polish, right? This Zaratsu polishing, it just reflects light like it's beautiful. So, and I have it on today's topic, a Hodinkee alligator leather strap. A genuine alligator, and it's in a light brown color.
Right.
And why did I change the strap of this watch?
Which strap did it come with initially?
That's exactly what we have to talk about. Is why would we change the strap of a watch? This one originally came on a black crocodile strap.
Yeah.
It was a matte black crocodile strap.
Yeah.
I love the matte black crocodile strap, but you know me, Ralph. Have you ever seen me wear a single piece of black clothing? Black is not my color.
Okay.
I'm not a huge fan of black, specifically black leather. So I always generally prefer brown. And specifically within brown, within the family of brown, I like this tan, this battle brown color.
Yeah.
So that's what I always go for. So I try to make all of my browns in the same color family. My shoes, my belt, and my watch. Generally, anything that I buy it within that color range, and then everything always matches.
Wow.
And I don't have to change anything around. And if I do suede, which is another big favorite of mine, I go with a light sand-colored beige suede. And then once again, if I have suede shoes, it's the same color. If I have the belt or anything else, it's the same color. And I don't have to deal with matching or dealing with matching anything.
That's very sophisticated. I mean, I try to always match my shoes to my belt, but I haven't actually. Probably, sometimes I choose a different watch because of a different strap, or a strap for a watch because it doesn't match the rest. But that's on the rarer side. But yeah, that's a very wholesome view.
For me, this is very OCD, right? You get one color, you like it, you continue buying that. Now, all right. The other thing I want to mention here,
okay,
is I wanted to ask you: do you have any hard and fast rules on straps? What watches go on straps? What don't? And I'll tell you what I mean by this. For me, the only watches that I don't change the strap of, are my Rolexes. Modern Rolexes are extremely difficult to deal with straps. So I have tried, and the problem is, generally speaking, the way they're built, the spring bar is too close to the case. So if you put it on a strap, it will chew the strap up. The side of the case is so sharp that it'll just eat that strap up.
You need curved strap.
Curved spring bars, exactly, which I'm not going to deal with curved spring bars. It's too complicated for me. So Rolexes stay on their bracelets. Everything else in my collection gets treatment.
There are a few manufacturers who do leather straps for Rolex watches that have this curved this curved spring bars and the curved leather on the end at the end that fit well. But yeah, I disagree.
It just doesn't look as good for me.
For me, I would like to put both of my Rolexes that I have. I wouldn't mind putting them on a rubber strap if I could get one, but I can't.
Like an Oyster Flex.
Yes, either Oysterflex, but of course original doesn't work, because if a model doesn't come on Oysterflex, then you can't fit that Oysterflex on any of the other models. It's just.
But what about the aftermarket companies? Everybody makes straps for them.
Yes.
For the Skydweller, for instance.
For the Skydweller, for instance, you can't get one for mine. Because I have a Jubilee bracelet.
Is there a difference in the end link construction?
Of course. It's always, I don't know why Rolex does that, but there's always some kind of a extrusion or intrusion or whatever that doesn't make it fit. So all of these usual suspects, Everest, Rubber Bee, and Horus, for rubber straps, they all make rubber straps for Skydwellers, but all of them say it doesn't fit on this particular model, and it's the one I have.
Okay, so let's talk rubber straps first.
But
first,
in
because
general,
you just mentioned the big,
and I had my Datejust. I had on a rubber strap every now and then. I had 3 different colored rubber straps for my Datejust. I like that. It wasn't bad.
So I love rubber straps. I think I don't own one. This is the funny thing, but I love rubber straps. So you mentioned a few big companies: Horus, Everest, and what was the other one? Rubber Bee. I want to add one more called Zealand.
Yeah, and I want to add also one more. It's a local company at that. It's Vanguard.
Okay, so here are a few names for you guys. Which one of these have you had physical contact with?
Me?
As in, have you tried or felt or used?
I have Rubber Bee straps. I had Rubber Bee straps. I sold them with the watch from a Panerai. Very, very good strap. I really liked it. I had Everest straps, I think. Can't remember for which watch though. Definitely a lot different Horus straps. Vanguard straps as well for Tudor specifically. Excellent quality and good value for money. So except, what was the last
Zealand.
one?
Zealand is the one I'm talking.
No, Zealand, I never had one. No.
So Zealand, all of these straps, by the way, most of them are in the same price point, right around the $200 mark.
Which is quite a lot if you think about it for a rubber strap.
Yes, correct.
Right. Yeah.
But they're usually made of the same high quality rubber, so they're extremely flexible. They're very, they fit very well.
And Zealand, in some cases, they have extremely long warranty range.
Lifetime
and guarantees
in some cases.
Well.
Yes. So Zealand has lifetime, I believe. But anyway, the point of the problem with the Zealand one that I had it on my Submariner for a day. I tried it on basically. It is now going to the Timepiece 360 auction, by the way. It was in the Rolex green color. So I thought it would be a cool fit for the Submariner. But the problem is somehow the strap is too tall and the bezel catches on it. So if you don't use the bezel, you're perfectly fine. But if you are a person like me that uses my bezel for timing things, the bezel, it sticks because the rubber is kind of rubbing, frictioning against the surface of the rubber, and you just cannot turn the bezel very easily. And that to me bugged me, hence why it's on sale. But that is one of the companies that makes straps that are for multiple different companies. So it's not just for Rolex Submariners, it's also for the Omega Seamasters and a laundry list of other watches.
For Panerai,
so they're
usually or sometimes gives even rubber straps with some of their models.
Yeah.
As a second
so
strap.
These are generic straps, the Zealand ones, more generic than something like your Horus or your Rubber Bee or your Everest, which are very specific to what they're making it for.
Horus, for example, makes these tightly fitting, like integrated bracelets fitting rubber straps for specific models. You have to really match them. They also make generic straps, right? With the straight end link, so you can buy them for 20 millimeters, 22, 24, 26, and bigger for some other watches.
And I want to say, our friend Khaled from Timepiece 360, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, he always has his white dial Daytona. I think his white dial or his black dial, I don't remember. He has a Daytona, an older one with the stainless steel bezel, and he has it on a green, Rolex green color Everest strap with the clasp. And I think it looks fantastic. I think, that's kind of one of the reasons that I bought my strap was because I saw his.
Yeah, I think with Rolex, as you mentioned before, because you said you don't really change the straps for your Rolex watches. I know it's especially with the Rolex faithful aficionados, it's a bit of a sacrilege to actually change the strap on Rolex watches. A lot of people are saying, like, why would you do this? Because Rolex already put all their brain cells into making it the perfect match for this watch. There's no reason to ever change anything in this watch because it's already perfect. So don't fiddle around
Rolex
with it.
bracelets are the most comfortable bracelets in the world.
And I agree. They are one of the, if not the most comfortable bracelets that you can get. And these watches usually wear extremely comfortable on your wrist. Because they have been refined for decades, right? So probably there's a reason to the madness. But I do feel that Rolex does make it a bit hard, as you said, for example, with the placement of the holes in the case and all of these things, except in the, of course, vintage models where it's much easier. And a lot of vintage models which look super cool on leather straps, right? Old GMT Masters and old Submariners where you have even drilled holes, right? In the case.
We can talk about that. We'll have a chapter, so to speak, in this talk about drilled holes and switching our straps and how we do it. So we will hit that topic.
All right.
Don't want to get there quite yet. Now, so basically, rubber straps, super cool, good for the summer months, good for swimming, good for a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. Tons of brands to choose from. However, when you get to leather straps, when you get to NATO straps, your options go up by 100 times, right?
Oh, yes.
And this is why I wanted to start with rubber. I'm glad you brought that up because you're fairly limited. There are options, but you are limited. So let's talk leather straps. Let's talk brands we bought from. Let's talk ones we've liked. So you want to go first? What are your favorite brands? Where do you buy your straps?
So currently, I have one watch brand here. One strap brand that's local. I just recently bought from. They had a special sale, Eat sale, so I bought 3 straps from them. It's optowatch.co. So they are based here in the UAE. So that's very delivery is very quick. They do fantastic straps in different leather qualities and different, of course, different colors, different sizes, all with quick release spring bars and really nice buckles, pin buckles. So I love them. They're really cool. Then I use D-Lugs from Singapore and Monstraps, I think it's also from Singapore. I have one store that I used a lot of custom straps from. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're based in Vietnam, I think it's Vietnam. They are called Hepaki. I think probably I butchered that name, or Hefaki, because it's PH, right? So Hepaki, I don't know. So
Spell
I don't want to.
Give us the spelling.
HEPHAKEE.
Okay.
Right. Anyhow, so they make watch straps on demand, or they have, of course, ready-made ones with really cool designs, made of crocodile leather, stingray, ostrich, lizard, shark, python, beaver tail. I'm not kidding you. Even salmon leather and chicken leg straps, which you can't make this up, but it looks pretty amazing, right? So
the chicken leg, you showed me a picture of the chicken leg strap, and I have to tell you, for those of you that cannot imagine what a chicken leg strap would look like, imagine a chicken leg. Imagine the scaling of that chicken leg, and that is exactly what this watch strap looks like.
It actually looks really nice. It's a bit like these ostrich straps, but just
it looks like an ostrich mixed with kind of like an alligator, crocodile, small scale.
Really nice.
But once again, this is something that is not going to be have any implications for endangerment of animals.
No,
and
absolutely.
Whatnot.
The chicken is so far not endangered. So
I think so. And then the legs, there's plenty of them as well.
Yeah.
Super animal.
So, anyhow, so these kind of they are a bit exotic. The good thing about this is because, for example, a stingray strap. I saw that on somebody's watch and I thought, wow, where do I get a stingray strap from?
You have one, I believe, right? So you have a watch on a stingray.
No, I don't. So somebody else. I wanted one.
No, you showed me something.
Yeah, I showed it to you, but it's not mine.
Oh, you didn't own it. Okay, no. I understand. Okay.
It's not mine. And I've seen these straps, and I think they're I think it was one of the ones that was on auction at Timepiece 360. But that's how I actually found these kind of stores making these straps. There's another company that I like. It's called Liger Strips, Liger, and they do something that is, I think, also sort of brilliant. And I'm giving this away. I have not told anybody about this because I wanted to keep it a secret, but I think I'll just spill it here. They upcycle used material, and they upcycle Gucci handbags, Louis Vuitton handbags, and some other nice luxury brands. I think Bottega Veneta and with a weaving pattern and stuff. So they use these handbags that they acquire, used handbags, pre-owned. They clean the leather. They basically take the leather from the handbag, and then they make straps out of it.
That's genius.
And it looks really nice. So you have this graphite pattern.
Because the problem is we have a bunch of fake companies that are pretending to make straps from Louis Vuitton canvas and things like this. And I would say that's a fake, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to take it from an original bag, I would say that's genuine, right?
Yes, of course.
They're doing what I think Louis Vuitton is not doing.
It's semi-legal. I don't know if it's 100%
exactly. Well,
legal,
no, if it's
sort of. I mean, there's a brand logo on
are
it.
They owning the bag, right? That's what it comes down to. It's my personal property. I own it. If I want to resell it, I can resell it as a bag. What's to say I can't resell it as a part of a bag? As
I said, that's a semi-legal. I'm not 100% sure that the copyright owner likes that you make some other product out of their products with their logo on it. But
yes, correct.
On the other hand, I think it's So, but I haven't bought one of these yet, but it's on my list. I want to try that.
Okay.
So
all right.
I think
so
really
I'm
cool.
very simple-minded when it comes to straps. Much more simple-minded, so it seems, than you. Originally, I started with purchasing, when I first got into the hobby, I purchased only authentic straps from the manufacturer.
Right.
That was my introduction to straps. So I would buy, if I had a Tag Heuer, I would go to Tag Heuer and say, can I have a strap in this color? And then they would say, okay, we have this one that would fit, and I would get it from a different colored model or something like this. So for a Carrera, for instance, let's say I wanted the light tan alligator. My specific model didn't come with that, but a different one did. So they would source me that strap. So that's how I started. Then I realized, well, this is very expensive. So generally the most expensive way for you to buy straps is going to be direct from the manufacturer. Like that's a top most expensive strap. You're probably looking at $500, 2,000 dirhams around there for the strap. That's of course preventatively expensive. Since then, brands have reduced the prices of some straps, I've noticed, because they're trying to compete with other strap manufacturers. I know JLC has reduced their prices. I think JLC, you're able to buy straps without the buckle for around $250, which I think is a fairly good deal, being that it's a JLC strap. Cartier, even less. You're looking at probably $150.
You were saying it's a JLC strap, but do they actually make these straps themselves?
They're branded JLC.
See, I mean, that's
made in...
probably they have some Swiss company that makes these straps for them.
Italian. They're Italian.
Okay. It depends,
so it says
right?
Made in Italy.
Some are.
But of course they're outsourced. Yeah, absolutely.
But isn't that interesting as well, how we sort of get numb to these kind of prices? Because I remember the first time when I needed a new strap for whatever watch it was, I don't know, a Hamilton or so, or maybe even something lesser than that. And my strap was, in these times when you just had one watch. Yeah. And you wore it the entire summer, and then you thought, it's getting a bit ugly, or it starts smelling or whatever. And you think, I need a new strap, right? And then you go and want to have the manufacturer strap, and then you think like, I'm not paying 1/3 of the price of the watch for a strap. That's ridiculous.
If you look at it in terms of the percentage,
So you're going to a watch store, a minutes store, or something. These
repair
shops,
and you just buy a cheap $10 strap.
A zillion of straps that you can choose from, and you think, I'll just choose one of these. Of course, then you realize, well, the buckle is not so nice. Sometimes you can change, sometimes it doesn't fit. So, the tapers differently or whatever, or the holes are different and whatever it might be. So you end up, you understand why there is a manufacturer who makes sure that these straps are really well-fitting and that there's aftermarket. And so for me, in the beginning, aftermarket was always not the best quality. Then I discovered some good quality straps that were actually sold by jewelry stores like Hirsch from Austria and some others.
Hirsch is a really good one. I'm a big fan.
So not too expensive, but excellent quality. And then eventually you go, and when you buy a luxury watch, for example, I bought a Vacheron Constantin, and I went to the store, and they had basically, and I think I like that a lot, they had a selection of leathers and colors and said, these are the colors we have, and these are the leather variations we have. You can choose any of these. Same price.
Vacheron is Richemont, right?
Yeah. Same price. Or if you have a specific color in mind, tell us and we'll make it for you for the same price.
But this is exactly what I'm talking about. They're Richemont brand, and Cartier does the same thing, which I'm guaranteeing you they're sending both of these to the same factory.
Maybe, yeah.
So the Cartier ones are made in Austria. So check your Vacheron strap and see if it says made in Austria in the bottom, and then this might be confirmed or denied. But my wife, of course, has a Cartier tank, and we went in. I walked into the boutique, and I said she wants a hot pink leather strap. And they said, would you like crocodile? Would you like lizard? Would you like calf? So we looked at what they had in the color she wanted. We chose the calf because it was available right then, as in 5 weeks, I think it was the lead time. If you wanted alligator, it was something like 5 months. So my wife said, just get the cheapest one. And it was 599 dirhams or 600 dirhams, somewhere around there.
Not bad, yeah.
5 weeks, free shipping. It actually showed up much sooner. It took about 2.5, 3 weeks, which I was very surprised how quick it came. So that I'm very, very happy with. And the quality is fantastic. I think Cartier straps are second to none. Now, on the other side, where have I bought straps from? When I first moved to Dubai or UAE as a whole, the first company that I started dealing with in terms of straps was Momentum. They had a vast array of straps, and they had some really, really good ones. They were like 700 dirhams, which I felt at the time, this is ridiculous, right?
Oh, yeah. In the beginning,
and then I found, no, I still do. I still think they're overpriced.
Yeah.
No issue. But then I found the manufacturers of their straps.
Yeah.
So the ones that I liked the most were made by a company called Vintage out of Italy. You go to their website.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like for 200-300 dirhams, you can get a strap. Same exact strap, minus the Momentum stamp on it, for less than half the price.
Wow. Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying is I feel this is so there are brands out there where you can get really good straps. And then I got into Hodiki. And of course I am a Hodiki fanboy. It pains me to say. And I really like the Hodiki, or the idea of Hodiki straps. I bought my first one, which I think, Ralph, you own now. That was my first Hodiki strap ever. It was just regular vintage style tan leather strap. Problem was it was too big for me. It was way too big for me, so I couldn't do anything with it. So it sat around, and I think I paid $200 for it, which was also nuts. Maybe a little less. Then second, I bought another strap from Hodiki, which fit a lot better, but it was still not the same as the pictures they had. So this is one issue that I have with Hodiki is they tend to mess up, or I don't know. There's too much variation in their production. I don't know what's going on, but in their pictures, it never comes the same. So it's always slightly different than what they had pictured, but be it in shade or color, be it in stitching, density, or anything else. So then I was tired. I've got burnt out twice on Hodiki straps. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Especially for the prices that they're charging, $200. It's too much money for me to just throw at it. So I recently, and this is my secret for straps. If I got burnt out on these Hodiki straps, how many other people got burnt out? The answer is a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Where do they turn after that? eBay. And they list these straps that they paid $200 for, and they list them on eBay for $50. So I have
All right.
An eBay search saved or Hodinkee strap. Every once in a while, I get a ping. And if it's one that I like, I buy it right away.
Right.
And I've bought straps. I think my cheapest one was $40 for the suede one that I have on my other Grand Seiko, which is an absolutely fantastic strap. My favorite strap of all time. The guy had a quote unquote stain on it. I took my suede brush and it brushed out within 1 second. So sometimes you get lucky.
See, this is also, the right care and the right products to care for leather can, I mean, salvage so many things, right?
And the guy said he sold it. He said it was nearly unworn and he sold it because it had a stain. So I picked it up for $40. The one that I'm currently wearing, this alligator one, I picked up from the same guy. And I think this one was originally $300 US because it was alligator. I paid $200 for both from the same guy, both the suede one and this one. So I think this was roughly $160 and the other one was $40, which I thought was a fantastic deal at the time. So still is. Still two of my favorite straps.
With alligator, you always have a bit of an issue sometimes shipping that internationally because
correct.
That it's endangered.
Correct. So you cross your fingers and you hope it's not taken away at the border. That's all you can do.
Yeah. But I heard there's a lot of controversy about, is that really something that we need to actually protect? Because most of the alligator is used from farmed alligators, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not endangering anything. Same as calf leather and other leathers. There's a lot now vegan materials coming up that I haven't yet
So Cartier is doing pineapple and apple leather, I believe. They're making it out of apple skins.
Yeah, I can understand that some people say, well, I don't want to have leather products, so you have more choices. But for now, and if you don't have a problem with wearing leather, there's a lot of interesting choices that are definitely safe. Yeah. Right.
But I think alligator, once again, it's a sustainably farmed alligator. But I think the big issue is when you see how much alligator hides are selling for, that means somebody will just go and kill one in the wild and say, look at this, how much can I sell this for? And I think that's the big issue. It's when we look at, rhino horns, right? Why are they so endangered, right?
Yeah.
Because people are killing rhinoceroses for the horn, right?
Yeah.
So the only reason they're doing this is because of the price for each one.
Yeah.
So if that price goes away, if it wasn't an expensive product, nobody would care. And that's kind of the idea with this is maybe the only thing that downside I can see by having farmed alligator is they're still expensive. And this then goes to the secondary market where somebody will just kill one and sell the leather from it and call it a day.
I mean, I have quite a few alligator straps, and I like their pattern. I like the I mean, they're.
But I have to say, I also have fake alligator. I have calf with the imprint as well.
Yeah.
So
if it's well made,
can I tell a difference? No, I cannot.
If it's well made,
except it's too symmetrical. I guess that's the only issue. Fake alligator is much more symmetrical than real alligator, right?
Yeah. But so when it comes to straps and to change straps onto your watch, I think there's a bit of maturity that comes that you get as a collector or enthusiast eventually, that you're saying, like, I now think that I know on which strap or which strap combination
should this watch
would look great for me. Right? It's
how many times have you messed this up, though?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. The learning curve is steep. The learning curve is steep.
Even now, I just bought a strap, and I said, you know what? This strap is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I ordered it. Was another eBay find, $50. It arrived, and I tried it on the watch that I had in mind, and it just didn't work. So this is a very hit or miss thing.
The next thing is not only on the watch itself, because sometimes I was extremely lucky. Right, so I got my last one where I bought a custom strap from was the Omega from 1972 with the Lemania movement, and had a blue dial, which is of course also 50 years old. So it's probably not a color that is readily available. And I found I think it was with Deluxe, a color that on the monitor at least matched the dial color very well, right? And sometimes it's when you get something that is very closely matching. If it's a tiny bit off, it can be very bad.
Yeah.
And if it's totally off, then it's also bad. So either it matches, or it's a bit off and it still works, or it just clashes.
Doesn't work.
It really clashes, and it's just ugly. And then you can't return the strap because it's custom made. So it's just like, okay, you wasted money. In this case, it was really great. It fit well. It was available in that size, so I didn't even have to wait for a custom order. So it was just perfect, and it matches the dial color absolutely perfect, spot on. So I'm extremely happy with it. But the next thing that you sometimes don't really think about is sometimes, at least I do, it looks great on the watch. It looks great when the watch is on your desk. Then the moment you put it on your wrist and your skin tone, and you think, that just doesn't work.
Yeah,
you think,
I've had this as well.
Because
I know.
It looks really nice on the table.
So I have to say the opposite issue I had with the Hodinkee. So there was one strap that I didn't buy. I bought it on eBay, once again, not on Hodinkee. And the color looks way darker on Hodinkee's picture than the guy that was selling on eBay.
Right.
Remember, on eBay, you get much more genuine pictures. They're not Photoshopped. The guy snaps a picture, and that's roughly what you're going to get. On Hodinkee's website, they are Photoshopped to hell, and you have no idea what you're buying. Had it been the color Hodinkee showed, it would have looked terrible. But because I saw it on eBay, it ended up being perfect. This was for my SBG M221, which is a cream dial.
Yep.
And it was a sand-colored suede strap. And it matched the dial perfectly.
Nice.
But the one that they were showing on Hodinkee's website was totally a different shade. It was much darker.
Yeah.
So it ended up working perfect. Originally, I had bought it for this watch, the three-hander, which has more of a silvery dial, and it clashed. It did not work. The same thing that you mentioned. It was just that one shade off.
Yeah.
And I was like, it doesn't work. I'll just put it in my box of stuff and then not worry about it. It was $40.
Yeah.
Well, then a couple months later, I bought the other Grand Seiko, and I was like, oh my God, this is perfection. And, you sometimes you get lucky with that.
Yeah.
And which is funny because that Grand Seiko came on the exact same brown tan leather strap that I have this one on. But somehow this works on this watch, but not on the other one. So this is a very fine, finicky little, fine tuning that you have to do, and you go with what you like. So let's do a quick rundown for novices. All right. Alligator strap. What kind of watch do you put it on?
Me personally?
Anyway, we'll both answer the question. So alligator strap.
I mean, it depends on how the alligator strap is done. For example, you could have one with, let's say, white stitching on the side, and
which would be sportier,
not padded,
not tone on tone,
not padded. That can look good on sport watches sometimes.
It's
depending
correct,
on what they are.
So once again, for the listeners, padding means that some straps are flat. Some straps have a little bit of padding, some filling in it, which makes it a little bit more three-dimensional. And generally, that is more for dressier watches, right? So it depends.
It means usually sports watches are a bit thicker. So you want also the strap to be a bit thicker, so it doesn't look out of place.
So contour for me looks more dressy. Yeah. But, once again, this could be opinion-based. So for me, alligator is dress watch. To me, that's kind of what it screams. That's what it wants to be on. Yes, it works on certain sports watches.
But you have to also say you can get crocodile strap glossy. You can them in matte.
Oh, yes, glossy and matte. So mine is matte, of course. I should mention that. I much prefer matte-colored straps than shiny straps.
Me generally as well. But for example, for my last Glashütte Original, the gold one, it's a gold case. It came on a black strap. And I thought this gold, it's yellow gold, with the black strap, the contrast was just too hard, the contrast between these two. So I got it on a brown strap, glossy alligator leather strap.
Yeah.
It was a big question mark because I also usually don't like glossy that much. But in this case, I thought it probably will look better, and it ended up being the right choice. It really
and the
looks
problem
nice.
with straps in general is that you do not get to try everything.
No,
you're guessing 99% of the time.
And especially this for the Glacétor Original, it was of course a custom order because it's 19 millimeter strap, luck width, right? So it has to fit the case. So it's 19 millimeters there, and it tapers because I wanted to use the original deployment clasp of Glacétor Original. So you need to have also measure that, and it has to taper down to a specific millimeter size on the connectors there to fit the clasp there. So I think that was 16 or 17. I don't know exactly. But then you have
generally it goes 19 to 16.
Measure this. You have to get this right.
So okay, we'll talk sizing in a minute as well. Okay. So, but I agree. There's some color combinations that we have to deal with depending on the metal of the watch.
Yeah.
So gloss brown would look better with gold. Matte brown would look better with silver tones. And that's another thing that we have to consider, right? What color is the metal of the watch? All right. Regular calf leather and other leathers, plain leathers, we'll call them. Generally, you can do anything with, right? They're less dressy than your alligator. So at the pinnacle, you have alligator straps. Those are going to be the most dressy. Underneath that, you would have I would say your smooth strap, your smooth calf and so forth. Some people say suede is dressier than smooth, but I disagree.
But see,
I think suede is more casual.
I think it really depends. You said, for example, smooth leather, right? So you mean monocolor, no pattern on it, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yes. So right now we're talking basic straps.
But even there, you have lots of things, right? You
got contrast stitching, you have patterns, you have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you have to
graining,
Barenia, Butero, right? You have something that are waxed, so they get less, stretches, or they change a bit in color depending if they're bent.
I didn't realize how complicated. So I just want to pause and tell the listener here. Ralph said straps is not long enough to talk about for a full episode. Okay. I think we haven't even tickled the surface here.
That's true. There's so many different versions, and some of these watches. I mean, I have seen a reverso, for example, on a strap that is I think it's called a Pueblo strap. I don't know what exactly that is, but it's also one that is a bit of it looks slightly waxed, so it's a bit of a strap that probably ages well, gets little scratches from things, and just looks really, really nice and interesting, but patina as well, right, over time.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have thought that will look good on a reverso, but it does. Right? So there's sometimes it's things that you think, oh, no, it's actually not really supposed to work, but it does. Right. So I always think like you should ideally go somewhere and try where you have a good selection to have an idea. Right. Maybe you find already the one strap that you like, which is perfect. And you can just pick it up and go if it fits. Right. Or you can order the one then fitting, but you just hold it to your watch, the strap carefully and think like, okay, is this something that actually could work?
Yeah.
On top of your hand so that you get your skin color as well, so that you see, that actually works and fits. And then you can always make choices the more you know what's out there and the more that you can do.
So another thing that I would recommend to the people that are listening is start plain. Basic colors, your browns, your blacks. Don't go too extreme. You start safe. And then you can kind of start slowly and surely experimenting with weirder materials, weirder colors, because the weirder ones are the ones where you will get burned immediately. You'll find something you think it will work, and then it doesn't, and then you get very disappointed.
And the other thing is, if you have a bigger watch collection, and you have a couple of them, make a list of what watches have which lug size.
Correct. So once again, lug size, guys, is the distance between your two lugs.
Yeah,
right.
I bought a lot of.
And the common before you go into the common ones that we have. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Those are going to be your 5 common ones, with 20 being the most common.
20 is
probably followed by 22 and 18. Odd ones are always a little bit harder to find. Yeah. However, Grand Seiko, which is a huge strap monster, generally, they're 19 millimeters. So that has, in the last few years, made 19 very, very popular. Yeah. 21, still rather hard to find.
21 is a bit harder to find, and now Rolex has done a lot of watches with 21 millimeter lug width.
Recently, yeah.
Longines does 21. I have my Breguet has 21. So there's a couple where you think like,
it's really weird, yeah.
Why would they have to do that? But yep, it's.
I don't know why they do this, but the other thing that I consider, by the way, so
why I mentioned this quickly, just going to close my point there. I said if you choose a strap with 20 millimeters and you have another 6 watches that have 20 millimeter straps, it might fit another watch very, very nicely that you didn't think about. So I bought an IWC. I have an orange alligator leather strap on my IWC Portofino Chrono. I wouldn't have thought that it works, but it does.
No. Sometimes
so
weird
I bought it
things
for a different
work.
watch. Didn't fit. I tried it on this one. I thought, brilliant. Perfect.
Yeah. And then sometimes you get lucky, as I said. Yeah. Now, one thing that I do want to mention is not just lugs. So lugs do have a big impact. So for me, I just had the Tudor Pelagos FXD, which was a 22 millimeter width. And it was just too wide for my wrist, the strap.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, depending on the size of your wrist, straps wear differently. So for me, I have learned what I like. Yeah. And I need...
But there's
19 or 20 is my go-to. But here's the big thing. I needed to taper. I needed to taper down.
Exactly. And
to buckle
NATO
up 16.
Straps don't taper.
NATO straps don't taper. NATO straps get a pass. We'll talk about NATO straps in a minute. They kind of get a pass because, of course, they're 20 or however many millimeters all the way through. But generally, I have my JLC. Came on a 19 millimeter strap that tapered to 18, which is next to no taper at all, right?
Yeah.
And I felt it was too visually heavy on the bottom side or the top side, right? So you have to look at this. It should balance. So if it's a small watch, you can have a small taper on the backside. If it's a larger watch, you would have it taper less because you want visual balance between the top and the bottom of your wrist. Also, the more it tapers, the less stable the watch is if it's a heavy watch. So you need to...
But it's a comfort factor as well, I think. Yeah. So when you have a big watch like a 26 or 27 millimeter Panerai strap, which is very broad on the top.
Very, very massive.
It is nice when it tapers down. But if you have a very, very strong tree trunk wrist, you can get away even with a thick one.
Yeah. So once again, this all depends on your size, your wrist size.
Exactly.
All right. So now we've talked once again. So people say suede, it could be dressier or less dressy depending on application. Once again, contrast stitching on the side of it could make it look dressier or not. It could be tone on tone, which was generally dressier. You can have a contrast stitch, like you can imagine a tan suede with a blue stitching. Yeah. That would be a contrasting stitch, which is less dressy. And the one thing that I've realized recently, I don't know what the technical term is for this, but I call it the hairiness of the suede. Suede, of course, is the inside of the leather. And depending on how it's not sheared but sanded, I guess, you could either have a long hair or a shorter hair. And I've realized the shorter hair ones are much dressier, while the longer hair ones, the one that kind of protrude a little bit, you run your finger on, it's very soft. Those are going to be more casual.
Yeah.
So I've realized that there's a difference there as well. So not all suedes are made the same.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I have an Alcantara strap. Recently, I got one which I really like a lot.
Which Alcantara, for those of you that don't know, is what?
It's like microfiber. It's artificial.
So it's a man-made
like
suede.
Yeah, it's like suede, but yeah, vegan.
It behaves in a very similar fashion.
But what we also have to come back to, actually, why are we even changing straps? Why are we doing this? Why are we thinking that we know better than the manufacturer?
So before we get to why, let's talk about the last category of strap. So we've gone through alligator, exotic materials, regular materials, and the last is generally your canvas, which can be your NATO straps, or your single pass straps, and your Perlon straps and Zulu straps and these kinds of straps. These are generally, you can get them in two-piece, which means you can get a canvas strap that goes on either side, which is a plain canvas, which, as it would sound, is generally very casual, rugged, NATO straps do not taper, as we said. They're single pass straps, meaning you wrap it into the spring bar. Zulu straps slightly thicker than a NATO strap, and Perlon straps are slightly thinner than a NATO strap. So that's kind of the whole category. It's just thickness of material, but all of them are made out of very similar materials.
Yeah.
Mostly your polyurethanes.
Yeah, but the good thing about
blends,
the good thing about these straps that are made of nylon or sailcloth or whatever it's called, rubber. Yeah. They are, of course, swimmable, right? They're water resistant usually. Most of these. Mm-hmm. Not all sailcloth straps are, but they will tell you if they are not, right?
99% of leathers are not waterproof. There is that 1% weird percent. Yep. Omega makes them. Panerai makes waterproof leathers.
But again, this is also, most of them they say it is, but I don't think if you swim with it.
I don't know if I trust it.
And then you need to dry the strap for a day or so. I'm not 100% sure if it's not disintegrating after a couple of times you do that.
But I don't want to try it out. These NATOs are cheap, right? Yeah. I don't either. And the NATOs are cheap. They're replaceable. They're about $10 to $15, $20 at the highest end. I buy mine from strapcode.com out of Taiwan or Hong Kong, Taiwan, one of those two. They're super cheap. They're absolutely fantastic quality. They were the manufacturer for Hodinkee. So once again, I do like finding a brand that I like, that have expensive straps, and then I find out who the manufacturer is, and I go direct to that manufacturer and buy it from them for usually much less. So Strapcode, which made a line called Miltat, and those are one of my favorite straps. Super cheap, super easy to swap out. So I do like those. And you can get single pass straps in leather as well. There we're getting into too much detail, but once again, all right, these are your general categories of straps. Now, as Ralph said, why do we switch straps out?
Yeah. So let me say why I do it. So very often you have a watch that you own for a couple of years, and you're sort of falling out of love with it sometimes, right? Because it's on a specific strap or on a bracelet or whatever it might be. And you're a bit bored with it, maybe. You have seen it for years. You have worn it for many, many occasions. And you think like, okay, maybe I'm over it. Maybe it's time to part ways. Maybe you're not anymore for me, right? It's not me,
exactly.
It's you. The other way around. It's not you, it's me. Anyhow, so you change and you think, well, maybe that's not anymore the watch for me. But then you think, maybe I just changed the strap. And sometimes, I have fallen over and over in love with the same watch again because I just changed the strap. It's just,
and these are called strap monsters.
Yeah, some
ones that really work.
Some of these watches are surprising strap monsters, like the Moser, right? That I have, the Heritage Dual Time with this burgundy dial, where you think a round case with wire lugs, where you think that's not really a watch that you can swap the straps on. But I have put this on a white leather strap, where you think, what are you thinking? White leather strap, right? But it looks amazing. It comes on a kudu strap, which is a dark gray, right? With a nice texture as well. Kudu is very, very soft leather. It's from an antelope, an African antelope, the kudu. So it's a very nice leather, and it has a lot of, because it's not farmed, they just take kudus, also not endangered, that have lots of, let's say, mosquito bites and other scratches on them. So the leather is not flawless, which gives it a special character, right?
Character.
So, anyhow, but this watch comes on a dark gray strap originally. It looks lovely on a black crocodile strap. It looks lovely on tropic rubber straps in black, gray, and in white. So you have lots of choices, for example, for that. But there's so many colors out there, and there's so many dial colors out there. So my advice is always just be a bit creative, think about stuff. Kevin O'Leary, for example, this guy that is on Shark Tank, the investor there, he always wears on Shark Tank watches with a red leather strap. That's his signature. He changes, regardless of which watch it is, he puts it on a red leather strap. Right? So these kind of things make it very memorable. People know him, the guy with the red leather strap, with the red watches, right? And it's also something that's just his thing. He just likes that, right? But not all watches look good on a red leather strap, for example. I mean, with a blue dial, it's probably not necessarily the best choice. But just experiment with it. I personally think there's so many colors out there and there's so many materials out there, and you will find something that might really just reinvigorate the love of this watch. And if you do have a good strap that is comfortable to wear, because also a wrong leather strap that's uncomfortable to wear, that's too stiff, that doesn't really form around your wrist, that doesn't break in nicely, or all of these things that can actually spoil your enjoyment of a watch, you can sometimes change that just with a new strap, right? And then there you go. Sometimes it might be the same color on the same material, just a different manufacturer, and it's perfect. After that, you love wearing the watch. I had a Seiko Alpinist, and the original strap it came on, it's an brown alligator strap, but it was the quality of it, I think, was okay. But the wearing experience was so bad for me personally in my wrist, I couldn't wear the watch, and I didn't like the watch as a result. Eventually, I changed the strap, and I loved it. And I wore it a lot.
So for me, it was generally, so my Speedmaster is the biggest strap monster. I think every watch that I've tried it, or every strap I've tried it on, has been fantastic. I don't think there's a single bad strap for that watch. Currently, I have it on a Kangaroo NATO strap, light brown in color, which Kangaroo is known to be extremely thin and yet strong. So it doesn't stack up onto your wrist, because as you know, when you have a single pass strap, you have a layer of fabric between you and the watch. So therefore, it's a little bit taller, a little bit thicker, but the Kangaroo takes away from this. And it just looks fantastic. On the other hand, I think that watch I've contemplated 1,000 times too, because I just don't like the bracelet on it. I like it for a day, and then I get tired of it. So once again, if you're thinking about selling something, you put it on a new strap, try it out, and you can be transformed. I bought my Tudor Black Bay 58s, the blue one. I immediately got tired of the bracelet. And that blue, this is one of the reasons I often am afraid of blue straps, is it's very difficult to match things with. It could be too dark, it could be too light, it just doesn't work, it clashes. So I put it on a gray NATO, which gray NATO, for those of you that don't know, is the, strap 101, right? It is the most simple and cheap strap you can try. And generally you will get the most reward from it. It usually will match almost anything. So I had a gray NATO strap, put it on, and it looked fantastic. But then the wearing experience became the issue. It was too tall. It was too thick. It's not a thin watch to begin with. It's slab-sided. And then you add that layer of fabric, or the 2 layers of fabric underneath it, and it does not wear well.
Yeah, I had the same watch, the Black Bay 58 in blue. I put it on a tan leather or light brown leather strap from MS. You know, this typical MS color?
Yeah. Yes.
That looked amazing. I love that.
So
the strap I had for a different watch. So
yeah, of course.
Because, but sometimes you just try it out and you think, wow, this is so cool. And the same color strap I now put on a Longines Master thingy, the one chronograph with moon phase and full calendar. And that watch comes on a brown alligator strap leather, classic, fine. But if you put this on this kind of honey-colored Saffiano leather or whatever other strap, it looks like $1 million watch. It's amazing. It just makes it.
It's amazing how you can dress up and dress down watches. So anyway, all right.
That's the next
we've
thing,
covered
I think,
straps.
It's about love. You can fall in love with your watch again with a new strap. The other one is actually saving money. Well, you think like, why would you spend money to save money? But if you have a nice choice of straps, and that's the next thing is, most of the newer straps have a quick release spring bar. That means you can change the strap without tools. That means you can swap between straps in a minute.
We'll talk about changing in a moment. Let's not get into it yet.
But I just wanted to mention that that's the next big thing, is that you now have the ability to save money because you are not buying a new watch. You just wear the same watch,
and it's amazing.
With different straps.
And my brother, who requested this, once again, he requested this topic. He had recently, he bought, I don't know how many years ago, an Omega Seamaster 300. This is not the 300M. This is the Heritage one, black dial on the bracelet.
Yeah.
And that comes with a 3-link flat bracelet, if you recall, with the sandwich dial, beautiful watch. And his wife bought him the OEM leather strap.
Mm-hmm.
And he had it, the strap, forever, never once used it. And then finally, just a couple of days ago, he messaged me and he said he put the leather strap on and it is an entirely new watch.
Yeah.
So it rejuvenates your love for a watch that you might otherwise want to sell and lose money on usually, right? So by putting it on a new strap, you regain this love, the original love that you had.
Yeah.
And I've done this, so many times with my Speedmaster, being my oldest watch in the collection.
The Speedmaster, yeah.
But I get tired of it. I'm like, okay, I'm tired of the Speedmaster. Put it on a different strap immediately. I'm like, wow.
I have this very often that people ask me, oh, you have a new watch? And I was like, no, it's a different strap.
Exactly. They asked me the same thing. And it's a strap.
And that means that you can get along with a smaller size collection, right? Or just a one watch collection.
With more straps. Exactly.
But you can still have an experience completely different, use cases, or basically, you put it on a tropical rubber strap for going to the beach. You put it on a nice glossy alligator strap to go to the opera. And you put it on something more rugged or a waxed leather strap in brown, and it looks really cool on a jeans and t-shirt, right? So or you put it on the bracelet for sports. It doesn't matter. There's so many different choices that you can make, and the same watch looks completely different.
So, all right. So I think we're running out of time here. So let's wrap up quickly with talking about how we change our straps. So there's two camps.
Yes.
People, I know people that are extremely particular about changing their straps. They will put masking tape over the lugs so that they don't scratch it. I am the opposite. I will literally rip out a spring bar, scratch it up. I don't care because it's a part of the watch experience for me. So, of course, I try not to scratch it up, but if it does, I don't get upset.
So, going one step back for somebody who hasn't changed the strap yet, in order to change a strap that doesn't have a quick release function, a lot of manufacturers doing it now, but not all of them do. So that means you have to use a specific tool in order to
exactly. Quick release, you don't. You can do it with your hands. Generally, regular spring bars, there's two types of cases. One case will have a drilled lug hole, is what we call it, such as my Grand Seiko, where there's a hole in the side of the case, and then you can use a pin tool. Then you just poke in, and the strap comes right out.
Toothpick or something,
Toothpick or anything kind of like this will work. So that, and then when you put it back, you can compress the spring bar with your nail and just kind of put it back into place. Yep. And then you need nothing. You need a toothpick or a pencil or something. On the other hand, generally for about $20 you can buy a spring bar tool. You can get it even cheaper, but I would suggest don't go for the cheap ones. Yep. So the company that everyone knows is Bergeron or Bergeron. I don't know if there's an extra R in there. Bergeon, I believe it's spelled. And they make the most fantastic spring bar tools. Once again, under 100 dirhams. One side will have a small fork. The other side will have a pin. The pin is for pushing in these drilled lug holes. And the fork is, if you don't have drilled lug holes, you're able to grab the spring bar itself and compress it from the back side of the case. So when would you scratch the watch? What do you have to be careful with? Firstly, you need to be careful removing the spring bar so that you don't scratch it with the tool itself. That's fairly easy to avoid. But the hardest part is going to be the putting things back. So when you put the bar back, it generally will land on the underside of your lugs. And when you're compressing it, you will slightly scratch the underside of the lugs. Some people don't care, like me. Other people will lay a little masking tape down there so that they don't scratch the watch itself. But nonetheless, once you get used to this maneuver, this is a 2-minute job.
Yeah.
So
I would recommend to anybody who's trying this, either take an old watch that you don't care for and change the strap. Even if you don't have a different strap, just take the strap off and put it back on a couple of times, just to get used to the technique. Everything is getting easier the more you do it, and more muscle memory or feeling you get for these kind of things. Then the second one is either you can use masking tape if you don't want to scratch it, or you just go to a store that has a technician, a watch technician in there. They can change it for you in a minute or two.
And generally, if it's a brand, so if it's you have an Omega watch, you go to the Omega boutique, they will do it for you without question.
Exactly. That's the easy way if you don't want to do that yourself. If you do it yourself, you will probably, even with the best tools, you will probably scratch your first time you do that. So use a watch that you can easily scratch, right? Just to train with it, right? So use something cheap. Try it on. I have made scratches on watches that, I regret a lot, because in these kind of things with this fiddly small stuff, I'm probably not the most patient person, right? I get very quickly very nervous if things don't work the way I think they should. So I have scratched some of my watches with that, which is not very good. So don't save too much money on the tools. Go for a good tool, as always.
Yeah.
The best tools make it easier to work with. It doesn't.
And when the best tool is $20, there's no reason not to buy it.
Yeah, and then try it before you use it on your expensive watches. And if you're in doubt, just don't do it yourself. Go to the boutique and
have somebody else do it. Exactly.
Have it changed.
But this is ultimately something that anyone can do at home for fairly cheap.
And of course,
amount of investment.
Yeah. And of course, nowadays with those quick exchange straps, for that, it's literally a 2-minute or 1-minute job to change the strap.
So it depends on where you buy your straps from. So I think D-Lugs already has quick release straps in almost all of their straps. So which means you will not have to.
One straps,
if you're changing between.
As well. Yeah.
So as long as you're changing between these straps, the factory straps, some do it, some don't. So it just depends. So I only JLC out of my watch collection has quick release. So everything else I have to do myself. And another thing to consider is that when you buy a new strap, if your watch has already a quick release, you will not be able to reuse those spring bars. You need to buy new spring bars. Some spring bars are thicker than others. That's another issue. So you need to find or source spring bars. Generally, those are rather cheap. I think Omega factory spring bars are like $10 for a pair. So they're not a lot of money. So just make sure that you're able to source them in case you're swapping between those that have a quick release and not have a quick release.
Yeah, exactly. And don't let all of these different, techniques and colors and spring bars dissuade you. One more advice: when you change spring bars and it's not a quick release spring bar, these spring bars can also fly.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
across the room.
So because they are spring
loaded,
you'll
never find them.
You compress them, and if it slips away and you let go, these things can fly for meters.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
So
I've lost so many.
Yeah. Do it on a table where you close to a wall or something where you know that it can't fly too far. But even then, some of them might just fly away into space.
And don't be afraid. Really, what it comes down to, try it yourself. There's 1,000 YouTube tutorials out there. All of them. And it's absolutely it's easy.
Changing your straps is very rewarding. And after some time, you actually see, you're so much broadening your horizon of what you can imagine, which you couldn't do before, because now you have a bit of experience when changing straps, that you think like, okay, that watch looks ugly right now, strap, but I can tell you it will look amazing with that particular strap or something else.
And this is one piece of information or advice that I can give as well, is when you buy a new watch, don't buy the watch for the strap that it's on. Buy it for the dial, buy it for the watch itself, head of the watch, so to speak. You can always change the strap later.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, a lot of people don't even know that you can change straps.
And straps
they never
are
think about
disposable goods. They wear out.
Yeah, exactly.
So you will ultimately have to do this unless it's a bracelet. If it's just a leather strap, it will wear out. So you need to know this, and then you can find anything to replace it with, which is super cool.
Unless, of course, you're happy with your initial strap or bracelet, then there's no reason to do it. Nobody forces you, but it can absolutely be terribly rewarding, as Martin said as well. And it's really, really lovely if you have these choices.
And I just want to add one more thing. I know it's a long podcast. We've been adding a lot of things. It's always one more thing. If you have a choice between buying a watch on a bracelet and a strap, ultimately, buy the one on the bracelet. You can always get the straps later for much less. So Omega, for instance, might have a difference in price of $100 between the same watch with a bracelet and a strap. However, you can buy the strap for, let's say, $200. But the bracelet ultimately will cost you $1,000 if you want to buy it after the fact. So buy watches on the bracelet, and then you can always put straps on it yourself.
Absolutely. And it's always, you get a better, if you choose to sell your watch, it's usually you get a better price when you have it on the bracelet.
And if you're like me, I have sold bracelets. So for instance, I'll buy a watch on a bracelet. I don't want the bracelet. I'll sell the bracelet. Generally, you will get 2,000-3,000 dirhams for it easy, and depending on the watch. And then you go on and put your own strap on.
Or you keep it when you for when you sell it later on.
Or you can keep it when you sell it.
But you can also offset your purchase price with that. If you're saying, like, buy it on a strap. And some of these bracelets, because they have waiting lists, remember that for specific watches, they have waiting lists on bracelets. I'm not kidding you, right? So where, like Vacheron Constantin for the 56, there is a bracelet that's, if you can get it, then you can sell ridiculous. It for 2 times the price.
Well, we live in a ridiculous world, ultimately. Anyhow, but anyway,
that's it. That's it for today. Straps. I mean, we've learned a lot.
Play with straps. Yes, play with them. Go buy a bunch. Cheap, expensive, whatever.
Yeah.
Just try them.
Or if you have, for example, one of these nice Omega Swatch moon swatches, and you don't like that particular strap on it because it's also a bit stiff and it's not necessarily the most comfortable one. There's amazing rubber straps matching the color or contrasting colors for just a few dollars that make this watch so much more comfortable if you like, right? So that's also a very good way to start swapping out straps, because first, this watch is not very expensive, and it's very easy to change the straps. And it's a good way to try and test the waters of the things without breaking the bank. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. I hope you are still there, or we have basically given you a 1 hour and 12 minute, book in
nap
15,
time.
Yeah, exactly. 15 parts. About straps, but there's more to talk about, but I think that's it for now.
And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, follow us at Lume Plotters on Instagram. Message us if you have any questions, and we would be happy to reply.
And share
it's a good enough question. We might make a whole podcast about it.
Yes, share your strap stories with us, please.
Yes, please do.
Alrighty.
All right. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.